Need your bad side or what? His only side.
How true.
Still trying to hold all your baby calves at the place, or are you trying to hold all your calves in one spot, or you got them off the grass?
Oh, they're all trying to be held in one spot, but they're all going through the fence.
Struggle this time here, so you,
Yeah.
isn't it? Boy,
Yeah,
you can't hardly build enough fence to hold them right now.
now they're in a full wire fence with one electric, and it still don't hold them.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Open Meetings Act is posted up in the northwest corner of the building. Meetings further that. Roll call.
Tony,
Here.
Skylar,
Here.
Greg,
Here.
Brad,
Yes.
Rise and do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to go a little bit out of order, but I'm going to go ahead and make my announcement and that way the meeting can continue along. I'm officially submitting my letter of resignation to the city of Ainsworth. It is with a heavy heart that I submit my letter of resignation as City of Ainsworth Mayor. It has been my honor and pleasure to serve as mayor. Due to unforeseen recent health concerns, I am officially resigning from the city elected office of City of Ainsworth Mayor. Please accept this letter as my formal notification effective immediately. Much has been accomplished by the city in the time in my time in office. Thanks to the hard work from the City of Ainsworth City Council, it has been a privilege to lead the City of Ainsworth's employees who are outstanding and dedicated to making our town a better place. I am deeply grateful for their commitment to Ainsworth. Thank you, citizens of Ainsworth, for the opportunity to serve you and represent this amazing town. So with that, I'll hand over to Grace. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Thank you,
Jeremiah.
I'll make a motion to accept Jeremiah's resignation for mayor.
Second.
A motion second to accept Jeremiah's resignation. Roll call?
Skylar,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Well, by law, of course, the president of the council takes over the mayorship. And in a city of the second class as this is, the mayor, when he assumes, or the president of the council, when he assumes the office of mayor for the unexpired term, that there should then be a vacancy on the council. So he can't hold both offices at the same time. So what that does is we're going to have to swear the mayor in here because it's a different office that he swore to uphold before when he took his previous oath. And then after we get that done, I want to advise the council of what their alternatives are. There is a couple. We have some options here. So, if you want to stand. say aye and repeat your name.
I, Greg Souls,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
and without mental reservation
and without mental reservation
or for the purpose of evasion,
for the purpose of evasion.
and that I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties of the office of mayor
perform the duties of the office of mayor
according to law
according to law
and
and
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear
And I do further swear
that I do not advocate,
I do not advocate,
nor am I a member of,
nor am I a member of,
any political party or organization
any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government
that advocates the overthrow of the government
of the United States or of this state
of the United States or of this state
by force or violence,
by force or violence.
and that during such time
And during such time
as I am in this position,
as I am in this position,
I will not advocate
I will not advocate
nor become a member of any political party
or become a member of any political party
or organization
or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government
that advocates the overthrow of the government
of the United States
of the United States
or of this state by force or violence.
or of this state by force and violence. Or
So help me-
violence.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
He looks pretty
Now-
excited.
With that being said, of course, now there's a vacancy in the council. The statutes provide for a couple different options here. They say that if a vacancy occurs of a city councilman, the vacancy shall be provided by a couple of different things. Number one, there first has to be, in writing, notice of the vacancy presented to the council. And I'm not quite sure what that means, but it said it shall be a part of the minutes. I'm assuming that just the minutes themselves and the recitation in the minutes that the president of the council took over the position of mayor, and that would be notice of vacation of the city councilman position. Then the council shall then at once give public notice of the vacancy by causing it to be published in a newspaper of general circulation, or it can post it in 3 public places in the city and also state the length of the unexpired term. Okay? Now, if we do that in this manner, it says the mayor then shall call a special meeting of the council, or, this is an option also, place the issue of filling the vacancy on the agenda at the next regular meeting. So you have the option of either calling a special meeting or doing it at the next regular meeting, so long as it is done within 4 weeks of this meeting. If our next regular meeting is when you want to handle it, it has to be within 4 weeks of this meeting. So I don't know when our next meeting would be. Well, that would be 4 weeks from now. It is?
June 10th.
If it is, then you can do it at next meeting, or you can call a special meeting. And at that special meeting, what you're going to do is you're going to submit the name of a qualified registered voter to fill the vacancy of your councilman's term for its unexpired term. And then there has to be a vote on it, and the nominee has to receive a majority of the votes. If there's a tie, the mayor can break the tie to vote. At each vote, all council members shall vote, either for or against. They can't abstain or not vote. they have to vote for or against. And of course, once they're elected, if they pass that vote, then they have the same rights as any other councilman. Now, the other option that the mayor and council have, in lieu of filling the vacancy as I just proposed, they can declare, call a special city election to fill the vacancy. So that would entail probably either having an election either at the general election, or you could probably have one earlier if you so chose. It would be a special election. I don't, the pros and cons of that, of course, is that it's gonna cost something to do an election, whereas it probably wouldn't cost very much for you to come up with a name and the council approve it. And you don't have to wait as long. You would fill it quicker by the appointment system.
So Rod, you're saying, as mayor, I can make an appointment or a recommendation, and the council can approve it from there.
And it has to be
My
approved by a
replacement.
majority.
Does the council have to decide which direction we're gonna go, whether we let the mayor appoint, or the council says we wanna go to election? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
It's up to the council to see what direction we wanna go.
I think that that's your first decision. Do you want to do the appointment method or the election method?
I'd
How
make
long
a-
is your term, Greg, left?
December.
You're done this December?
Basically, it'll mirror what yours is.
Gotcha. I didn't know where was, if you were on the other cycle or this cycle.
So whoever he appoints will be out of office at the end of December then, and then the winners of the election will take his place and then your place as well.
I guess I would make the motion then to allow the mayor to appoint the absent city council member.
I have a question, Rod. We're allowed, we still have a quorum with three, we can still conduct business tonight without a fourth, correct?
Yeah.
It's a good thing this didn't happen a couple months ago, huh?
We have a recommendation on the table, any other discussion?
I make a second to Brad's motion.
Got a motion and a second, roll call?
Greg,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
Does Greg vote on Greg?
sorry,
This
All
one?
right, no, Greg
that's
was not
probably
voting.
not correct, is it? So we'll start again. Brad,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Skylar.
Yes.
You're out of the
You
loop,
guys just
Greg.
taking everything.
Yeah.
So Rod, now for the mayor position, Jeremiah would have had 2 more years left on his term. Does Greg serve that, or do you put that on as an election for a 2-year term for mayor?
Special election.
Well,
There's options there, isn't there?
I think that the statute implies that that provision is only good for the city council on the election. However, I think there's some merit in interpreting it the other way for a special election of the mayor. It does say if the president of the council assumes the office of the mayor for the unexpired term, there shall be a vacancy. It doesn't say he has to hold the office for the unexpired term, but it says for the unexpired term. I guess he could resign too if he wanted to, and then the next president of the council would be in then.
Was that something they need to do tonight, is appoint a new president of the council then as well?
Well, we talked about that. It's not on the agenda.
Or maybe when you do the next one, appoint somebody to
I
name
think
the president?
that's something that has to be done.
So so if I'm reading that right, then it would be at the new mayor's discretion on whether he wants to serve the remainder of that unexpired term,
I think so.
which would be until 22.
Or there's a possibility we could try to put it on the general election in November.
Well, I talked to Lisa about this, and I think we're gonna have to consult the Secretary of State on this to find out for sure if that mayor's vacancy can be filled by a special election. I don't think it's clear, and I've read this and read it, and I don't feel that it's clear. It's clear that it's for council people, but it does not say the mayor.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but are you thinking you're on board for serving the remainder of the term, or are you thinking that you're just wanting to serve till the end of your regular council term?
That is correct.
To the second one?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's,
because if you did, I mean, typically if you do a race for mayor, you have to have some kind of filing window again. And I think, you know, if you did that early enough, you could probably get the normal filing window of, I think, there's a July 15th and August 1st filing window potentially, but I think that's kind of like a village filing window for, I know Springview Village Board, Kippaw County School Board, some of those are like in July, non-incumbent, August 1, or July something or incumbent, and August 1, non-incumbent. So if you're looking at placing a mayor race on your general election and not going through the expense of having to have a special election, you'd have to have set some kind of, and Travis could probably help you out with that, but you'd have to set some kind of filing window for somebody interested in running for that seat. And then put it on the ballot in November.
Or the city council appoints, you resign as mayor, and we appoint another, the president of the council is mayor again, to finish up the term.
I think it's the intent of the statute that says the president of the council shall exercise the office of mayor for the unexpired term until such disability is removed, say, for instance, if he was sick or something. In the case of a temporary absence, if he's on vacation, until the mayor returns. It doesn't, it just says he has to fill the unexpired term, unless he's temporarily.
that's not what I was told to begin with.
We held that part back, Greg.
Did you see that train coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
You're gonna be
question
great,
I had when I saw the agenda, was does he fill the full 2 years remaining on the term, or 2.5 years, or?
I would say he fills it until he.
He'll probably like it so much, he just stay on.
Civic duty, Mr. Sloan.
I have my tour to do. Well, we need to research that, because that is my intention, is to go through my term of December, was my intention. And I thought we could do a special election for mayor or a general to solve that issue.
Then you're probably looking at who is the next president of the council will be then. If you resign, if you don't, if you resign.
Well, we'll research it.
I'd say we'll probably do that before December though, because there's 4 people running for council now.
We'll
So-
have to have this figured out by next meeting.
Yeah, I do that, yeah, we have to figure it out by next.
Right.
If we're
So I'll
able,
have to make
if
a
we're able to
recommendation.
go with a special election, that might be one of our options of the direction we go.
But Brad and I will consult the Secretary of State, and we will discuss internally.
All right. Moving back up to the consent agenda. Any item listed on this agenda is open for discussion, consideration, and/or action by the Hazel City Council. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I just have one thing, Lisa, that I wanted to talk to you about, that I didn't get a chance to do on the consent agenda.
Sure.
On the department head reports, I see that they did efficiency testing on the wells. Could you get me a copy of that? I'd just like to look it over. And I blanked that off last week and forgot to call you about it, but
Yeah, no problem.
that's all I have as far as nothing else.
I'll get those to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion second. Roll call.
Tony,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
All right, moving down to item 3, mayor's appointments and reports. I don't believe there's any appointments, but report-wise, Brad and I stopped and visited with Joe McBride concerning the water issue in the alley behind his facility, and we have reviewed that and are in discussions with Joe right now to see what can be accomplished there. Other than that, that is all I have.
Is that a street slope problem or a?
The alley's actually sunk,
Oh,
and so.
I haven't been down that alley in
Yeah.
quite a while, so.
So we're researching to see what options are available, what we do. Yeah. Public hearing. Let's see. Open the public hearing at 7:19. This public hearing is for the purpose of repurposing of community development block grant revolving loan funds and proposed project to repurpose funds to housing rehabilitation. Let's move on to item 5, old business. Consider amendments to the Economic Development Program Policy and Procedure Manual, application, documents, and grant, loan and grant checklist.
this was tabled from last month, with the idea that Heather Sikita would have the opportunity to review and comment. She has reviewed it. Basically, she added on page 4 of this document, the application checklist document, under the LLC designation that we would request an operating agreement in addition to other documents. And under the nonprofit designation that we add bylaws and articles of incorporation. And those were the only amendments that she had outside of what was already being presented. And the revisions from a month ago, of course, was from our in-person meeting. Kristen and I met with her, I believe it was March 18th, where we went through together and did those revisions. Any questions?
I had a chance to read through it.
I move to approve the amendments to the Economic Development Program Policy and Procedure Manual, as recommended, by Lisa, Kristen, and, Sigmund.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Skylar?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Going under regular agenda, item B. Consider a housing rehabilitation loan, applicant number 1860 for $20,000.
We haven't had one of these in a little while. Is all of the council members familiar with the housing rehabilitation? This might be the first time since you've been on, Skylar. The housing rehabilitation program originated, I believe, in the mid-90s through a community development block grant. It's a owner-occupied housing rehab program. So we have about $100,000 in that fund. It's kind of acts as a revolving loan fund. It is meant for lower income individuals, so they have to have a income criteria to qualify. Basically, we have a third-party contract with CDS Inspections and Beyond who facilitates, I would say, the application process to this program. They also conduct the inspections, and they work with the contractors, approving the contractors to work on this program. So what you have here is a level D, which is a low-income, essentially forgivable loan for $20,000. $20,000 is the maximum that can be requested by any one applicant under the program. And the way these work write-ups are, CDS creates these when they do the inspection of the premise, and they essentially prioritize what repairs need to be made to the house. And the contractor works down the list until the money is used up. So it's not to say that all of these things will be accomplished, but hopefully most of them will be. We have about 15 current loans in the program. We only have one other out of the 15 that is a forgivable loan, so our loan profile is pretty good. I've been told by DED it's one of the best in the state of Nebraska. So it's something kind of for our community to be proud of. Any questions?
Hope they can get her all done.
Do they have a time frame to get this done?
I guess I can't tell you definitively if there's an exact time frame. I think once once the city council approves this and the applicant gets the green light to line up the contractors, I believe they have a year. If they don't have stuff going within that time, the contract nullifies.
And then we pay off the bills that they collect
So the
to make sure that they did their project.
The contractors submit their bills to CDS. CDS reviews those to make sure that what they're billing for is in compliance with the work write-up. And then they submit that to us, and that comes before you guys as part of the claims. And the check is actually written to both the homeowner and the contractor so that the homeowner has to sign it over, meaning that work was in fact done satisfactorily.
Lisa, you said this one is, you're writing it as a forgivable. I think all the others I've seen have been at either like a 0 or 1%.
Yeah, we only have one other that is in this category. And you
Is that an
usually-
income-based thing on how one is deemed to be
Correct.
forgivable?
Correct, and age, I think you have to be 65 or older as well. And I think it's forgivable over a 20-year period. But they have to remain in the home for it to be forgivable.
10-year forgivable
10 years,
loan.
excuse me,
Yeah,
10 years.
this is 10 years.
So are they making payments during that 10 years, or they just have to stay in the home that long?
Right, we have an amortization schedule, so should they default, that way we know what would have to be repaid.
They can't they can't sell the property in that 10-year window, as I understand it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Them to pay it back.
Yeah,
Or pay back a percentage of
Whereas-
whatever advertised schedule is.
whereas the other lower interest loans, I believe it's 5 years. 5 years they have to remain in the home.
Other questions? Entertain a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve, I'll make sure I say this right. Make a motion to approve the housing rehabilitation loan for applicant number 1860 for an amount of $20,000.
I'll second.
Motion and second, roll call?
Skylar?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back up to item 4 on the public hearing. We'll close that at 7:28.
We've been talking for a couple of meetings now about having to repurpose our other CDBG loan funds that we have that was kind of the flip side to this housing program. It was meant for businesses, economic development, reuse. The last anything that we did loan was to Lions HR a couple of years ago. There's roughly $27,000. I think it's actually the exact dollar amount is in the notice in that fund. So, what's being proposed is that we roll those funds into this housing program. So, we currently have about $100,000 in the housing program. I had about $20,000 a project that reuse funds could be put into the housing, and that's essentially another project. BED has approved that plan.
And Lisa, correct me if I'm not wrong here, but we have to do something with those funds, or we have to return.
We have to give them back to the state by the end of June.
And that's why we're repurposing those funds.
Hopefully get them somewhere where we can get
So
some use out.
yeah, we can utilize them.
correct. Yeah.
That 27,000 that's come into that one, is that basically just off payments that were made after the loan, through the
Right.
forgivable loan to Lions HR? That's what's come back into that one from the other loans that were?
Well, we had a loan that was still paying at that time, and they have since paid off. And of course, some interest, that has accrued. Also, when we did the deal with Lions, as I said, we had that other loan paying in. So the intention was that we give it all to Lions, and all that would be left would be the administrative fee that would go to CNED. Well, CNED didn't turn in a full administrative fee. I think we had budgeted $15,000 for them, and they only turned in $5,000.
Oh, gotcha.
So we ended up with some residual, but not really enough to do a whole lot with, so.
Yeah, gotcha.
So yeah, we would need a motion, one way or the other, to approve the plan. Or not.
I make a motion to approve the community development block grant revolving fund loan.
Second.
Got a motion and second then to take the CDBG funds and repurpose them in the housing rehab. Roll call.
Brad,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Skylar,
All right, sorry to jump around, but we'll go back to item C under 6. Consider bank financing proposal for interim street repairs in lieu of FEMA reimbursements.
so I apologize if my wording on the agenda was a little bit confusing. What I meant by that was, FEMA acts as a reimbursement. So this is essentially a construction loan, if you will. And Greg, I might defer to you to.
That's fine. I contacted Doug Weiss at West Plains to see if they'd be interested on a construction loan for the city. Be a line of credit that we can get basically advances as needed. And then once we go ahead and get to a certain spot, we can then turn in for reimbursement and pay this line of credit back down. If for some reason it takes longer than we're anticipating, we do have, the note would be due in December of 2020, and then it would potentially be renewed into a single pay note set for 24 months with interest due semi-annually, principal at maturity. That way, if for some reason we don't get our money from FEMA, we have a plan to continue.
My only question, and I assume someone knows the answer to this, by getting a line of credit lined up in advance, this doesn't jeopardize or doesn't mess up our funding that we're anticipating to pay the street improvement project, or all of these street repairs with. By getting loaned up front, that doesn't mess up our reimbursement later.
I don't think FEMA cares how we pay for it, as as long as we
That's
still.
been my understanding with the other projects I've been dealing with, but they haven't been street related, they've been flood related, so I just wanted to make sure.
Basically just have to provide documentation of what we've paid for.
How often can we request reimbursements?
I talked to Nima about that, and, basically as frequently as we want. I mean, we just have to submit the proper paperwork documenting what we're requesting reimbursement for. And then they had quoted me, 4 to 6 weeks potential turnaround time then on funds.
The stuff I was involved with up at Spencer, they were sending in monthly stuff, and they were getting most of that back within 2 months.
That's what it sounds like. So yeah, we can do that fairly often.
Well, we want to make sure we had an out after December, we don't have all our money, but we still have that commitment, which we do.
And it gives our contractors some reassurance that they're gonna get paid in a timely manner as well, so.
Yep.
I guess looking for a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept,
Proposal for financing.
the loan from West Plains Bank to pay for the street improvements in lieu of the FEMA reimbursement, until FEMA reimbursement comes in to pay it back.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second, roll call.
Tony,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
Okay, item D, consider right of first refusal agreement for the property owned by Brown County located at Township 30 North, Range 22 West, west of the 6 p.m. in Brown County, Nebraska, adjacent to the proposed solar array.
Alright, so this is the property, be just to the east of the hospital, in between, I suppose, the hospital and the ball field, the south ball field. All this is saying essentially is that should the county ever decide to sell that piece of property, that the city would have first right to make an offer. Correct, Rob? We're not actually offering to buy it, we're just,
And there's no price being established at this point, we're just,
there is an exchange of $1 in this agreement to make it legal. You have to have the exchange.
You are gonna need a check.
Right. Price and pocket change.
When I drafted this, I talked to Andy Taylor, and he said he wanted me to draft it, and he said he didn't feel comfortable with it. I had drafted it, and then he reviewed it. We made a couple different changes back and forth. And I put in there that it'd be good for 10 years. And that it be automatically renewed unless either side revoked it. And so, in writing. And so, it's actually gonna be good for maybe 20 years, possibly.
But it can be revoked at any time.
They can revoke it, right? But not for the 10 years.
Not within 10 years.
No.
Oh,
So next year they can't revoke it, they have to, has to go at least 10 years.
They could revoke the second one, they can.
And the county has approved this at their last meeting already, so, and has signed it.
Move to approve the right of first refusal agreement for the property owned by Brown County located at Township 30 North, Range 22, west of the 6 p.m. In Brown County, Nebraska, adjacent to the proposed solar array.
make a second to the motion.
You didn't read the fine print, the person who makes a motion has to pay the $1.
I rescind my motion.
That's tough.
We have a motion and a second, roll call.
Skylar,
Aye.
Brad,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Item E, consider a special designated liquor license for the Elks Lodge 1790 for the following events. One, street dance to be held July 18th, 2020, from 1 p.m. to 2 a.m., July 19th, 2020. Item 2, Kegs, Corks, and Forks street dance to be held June 26, 2020, from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., June 27, 2020. And I believe there's been a revised map we've received since this information's been received.
Correct.
To adjust location properly.
Where the fence is gonna be, actually, where the fence will be on the property to enclose the beer garden or the liquor license, you know, beer work license area. I'll make a motion to approve the designated liquor license for the Elk 1790 for the dates requested.
Second.
Roll call.
Skylar?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Item F, City Administrator, Clerk, Treasurer report.
So we continue to work with the hospital and Heather Sikida on professional recruitment. We're kind of in draft stages, I would say, of template documents that can be used as a potential avenue, I guess, in that regard. We'll have another meeting on Friday to review all of that and discuss that. And so hopefully we have some more solid forward movement on that here in the next week or two. The solar array, we continue to work. In fact, we'll have, I think, a conference call sometime this week with GRME, the developer, and NPPD. There was some issue, well, I shouldn't speak out of turn because I don't know exactly what the issue is yet, but apparently the warranty deed that was filed on the property where the solar array is positioned to go, when the county turned that over to the city, they had earmarked it to be used for a ball field only. So that was a little known detail that was just uncovered. So we will have to obviously go back to the county and ask that to be amended, which I don't think will be an issue. The Wastewater Project is in motion. SAC Construction, who was the winning contractor for the CIPP lining, is here. Maybe you've seen them around town. They're doing cleaning and camera work in preparation to begin the lining. So I think a couple weeks is my understanding of the cleaning and cameraing, and then they'll begin the actual lining project. The water meters, my understanding at this point, the timeline is June, is when that process will begin. And the lift stations probably will not begin until August. And of course, they have till November to complete the project in its totality.
Will the water meter project, they're actually going to replace all the water meters?
That's correct.
So what happens when the homeowner doesn't want somebody from out of town in their house? You know, with the COVID-19 thing, has that been addressed with the contractor?
It has. We've had probably a half dozen meetings over the last month and a half, with USDA, with the engineering firms, with contractors, discussing what would be an appropriate course of action if we needed to delay and extend the contract timelines, or what would be most appropriate. USDA, not to quote them, but essentially they did not want to delay. They wanted the project to continue. Apparently, other USDA projects, not only across the state, but across the country, you know, everybody's in the same boat. There's a lot of projects that counties and cities are trying to undergo. And the word that I understood from Marty at USDA was most all of those projects are moving forward. If they're not, it's because they can't get material, because the manufacturing facilities are closed, what have you. So we did talk about PPE and protocol. So the contractor has been advised that they have to develop a protocol that has to be approved by the city before we will allow them to begin. They're aware of that. So, you know, they're aware they need to come up with proper masking, hand washing, proper notice to the homeowners, you know, and we will, at the city level, also probably be doing some radio and paper advisements when we get closer to that time, so that people are informed that we're not just trying to go in and out of their house without much forethought. So we certainly do not want to, you know, create concern for anybody through the process. So, and things are changing, you know, all the time. So hopefully they won't change for the worse between when we want to get started. Street repairs, Tri-State, who we hired to work on our streets, is going to be in town the end of May, and they will begin their work. Swimming pool, it's kind of a mixed bag. The governor has not made a declaration on forced closures. He's made some advisements, as has lots of other agencies. NDEE, who governs our pool permit, the only memo they've put out is essentially stating that it's left to the local decision, the local governing body, and that should they open, that we have to maintain social distancing, no more than 10 people. Of course, the chlorine in the water kills the virus, but that's not to mention the bathhouse or the deck. So definitely we have a lot of concerns about that. We have to fill the pool this spring regardless, to finish out our filter replacement project. The last piece is, of course, testing it to make sure that it works. So the pool will already be filled. So one of the things that we have talked about internally, again, depending on how things evolve, is that we may look at swimming lessons. We can control that, we can schedule that, we can control how many people are there at any one time, and then we can do a proper cleaning protocol in between groups, and still have a public service through the swimming pool. We don't make money on the pool anyway, you know, so it's not like we're at a loss of a lot of revenue. So that's one of the things that we're still considering. I'm sure that decision will come end of May, first part of June.
I think the swimming lesson thing makes sense. That's the only thing I can see how you can control that situation. Having it open to the general public, I don't see how you can.
Unless you did like a water aerobics class or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
And it literally is all across the state. I mean, I'm on that, I'm a member of the Nebraska City Managers Association. They have an email listserv, and swimming pools and museums and libraries, of course, is just constant topic of conversation, and it's a mixed bag. I mean, we've got some cities who are just not doing it, some that are gonna wait till like July 1st, and then you have others that are, you know, going forward no matter what, and so this seemed like a good way that we could maybe still open, provide that service to the kids and the families, but control it and try to keep it clean.
The 10-person limit isn't going away June 1?
Not that I know of.
I haven't. I just know they're letting baseball and softball activities start, so I didn't know if that would.
And it could change, you know, I mean, at the city level, we're trying to follow the school, you know, and we're trying to follow what the district health department advises. So essentially, I guess what I'm saying is that's the plan, unless we're told otherwise between now and
Does
June 1st.
Larm, is that the city's insurance provider?
It is, yeah.
Because they had made a recommendation that pool's not open.
That
Is that a
true.
concern for the city, that if your insurance provider says don't open the pool and you open the pool, what does it do to the insurance?
Right, no, it's a legitimate concern for sure. I think the concern from LARM is that if you open to the general public, you can't keep it clean,
Yeah.
you know? But I think under the circumstance that we're talking about, you have very limited exposure, you have control over the bathhouse and the deck, and you have time to clean and do those proper things before you let another group in.
Is there a way to get into, the pool without going through the pool house? Is there a gate?
Not unless you have a key.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be open so your
On the west
swimming
end.
lessons could actually come into the pool area without going through the.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
But as of now, the pool will not be open for public
No,
unless something changes, it is closed. still.
correct. Yeah, if we open it, it will likely be under those controlled, like a swimming lessons type scenario where we have control over the groups and the times and,
Quality of people.
yeah.
How we doing on our survey?
Sure, so the Lmi Survey is what you're
Yeah.
asking about. I did send the contract document back to Miller and Associates after the April meeting. But essentially, I have to admit the delay is my fault. I've not been in the office a whole lot here recently, and I know they're waiting on a list of houses and addresses, but that's something we will get provided to them so that we can get moving on it.
Did you get a response from Lloyd to that?
I didn't. So I apologize, I'm not as on top of things this month. I've been out sick for about a week and a half, so a little behind.
You asked about Lloyd, our street.
That paving district, we were talking about paving district a month ago. She's contacted Lloyd, we're waiting for information back from him so we can move forward with that. And that's what I was referring to.
Anybody else have any questions?
Jeremiah handed me his resignation. Is this the original?
That would be, yeah, I have
I
that.
think you're gonna want to keep that.
I can email you.
What part of that?
With that, I'd like to go into executive session to discuss the new street building contract.
Take a second.
Motion second at 7:53 to go into executive session. Roll call.
Have a good evening, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Brad?
Sure.
Tony?
Yes.
Tyler?
Aye.
Thanks, Rod.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I think you can say, take notes.
Which one?
It might,
Can't be in the minutes though, right?
Oh.
it might be helpful, I guess, to me, if they say that way if I'm
I'm
not
okay
here.
with it because they know what's going on, they've heard the issue, they've talked to the
Well,
Yeah,
now
stop the
that,
camera.
now that we're kind of not in a public meeting, I'll let you guys know.
Cameras running.
Hold on.